This conference will now be
Okay.
recorded.
Now let me open any one of the table. Okay. I want to open, let's say, customers table. Or you can open address. That's also possible. Any table you want. Okay. Now you can see there is one more node called methods and then events. Up to now we haven't seen what is methods and what is events. So today we will see the methods and events. Okay. Now let me open my OneNote. Oh, I think it's on my desktop. Let me open my desktop and this one. We will see something called table methods today. Okay. So now coming to this table methods, they are divided into mainly how many types? Because most of the times people used to say there are different types of table methods. What are the types? The first one is called system defined methods. The first type of table methods is called system defined methods. And the second one is called application defined methods. The second one is called application defined methods. And the third one is called user defined methods. Okay, now we will see in detail. First of all, system defined methods. Okay. Now if I go to Visual Studio and if I view the code of this one, you can see there is something called extends common. For each and every table, you will see extends common. So common is the similar to that of an object, it's a table buffer. So whatever the methods you have in this common, we will have all these methods. You can override those methods in the table. Now let me try removing this and save this. Okay, because few of the times people might ask me, okay, I have removed that extends common. So this table, is it going to work or not? Currently it is not throwing any error. Let me do a rebuild and check. Okay, now I need to set sync to true again. So let me set sync to true, apply, okay, and then let me do a rebuild. Let it rebuild. We will see whether it throws any error or not. Let it build. In the meantime, now see here, coming to the system defined methods, as I told you, we are going to get those methods from the common. Whenever you create a table, you are extending with the common. So you might have some system defined methods which can be overridden. And broadly, I want to define these methods in a different fashion. Okay. The first type of methods, I will call them as insert methods. The second type of methods, I will call them as update methods. The third type of methods, I will call them as delete methods. The fourth one, initialization methods. Okay, initialization methods. The first one is insert. See here, whenever we are working with the insert, update, or delete, there are few methods which will serve the purpose. What are those methods? What are those methods? The first one is, I will say insert. And then we have one more method called do insert. And then we have one more method called AOS validate, or let me take into validate methods. Okay. I want to call one more type of methods called validation methods. Now insert, do insert. This method belongs to insert. Update. Okay. And coming to this updates sector, we have a method called update, and then we have a method called do update. Okay. Now what is this update and do update, or insert and do insert? See here, whenever you are trying to insert data into a table, then obviously insert method will get called. But in the insert method, we can do different types of actions. For example, when data is getting inserted on this table, if you want to insert data on the other table, then you can use this insert method. You can do all these things here. If you want to perform the calculations, let's say if you want to perform the calculations And then if you want to insert data into another table, then obviously you can write that piece of business logic in insert method. Similarly for updation, you can write an update method. Okay, just a second. Okay, so now when we want to bypass either the update method, then we will use do update. Similarly, if we want to bypass the insert method, then we will use do insert. This is how it works. Okay, and similarly we have the delete, and for delete there's a method called delete. Okay, now coming to this insert and update, if you want to combine them both, and then if you want to create a single method, then we have a method called write. Okay, I will call this as insert or update. We have a method called write, and this write can be used to perform either the insert operation or the update operation. And similarly we have something called initialization. What is initialization? Let's say if you want to set some default values, let's say if you want to set a predefined logic before opening the table, then what we will do? We will do that in the initialization stuff. For doing the initialization, we have a method called init value. And coming to the validation, we have different types of validation methods. The first one is validate write. The first one is validate write. Remember, whenever you are trying to update or insert the piece of data, okay, update or insert the piece of data, then you want to perform some validations. That validations should be written in validate write method. And when you are trying to insert or update the data from the code, this validate write method will not get called, so you need to call it explicitly. Whereas when you are performing the form, there is no, it's not needed. Whereas when you are performing the insert or update from the code, then you need to call validate write explicitly. And then we have one more method called validate delete. For insert update, validate write. For deletion, validate delete. For deletion, validate delete. Similarly, at the field level, we have a method called validate field. Okay, so when this validate field will get called, each and every time you update the data in the field and go to the next field, the validate field will get called. And similarly, we have one more called validate field value. Validate field value. And these are for validations. And we have few more methods. AOS validate insert, AOS validate update, AOS validate delete, AOS validate read. These are the validation methods which are available. When reading the data as well, if you want to write some validations, we can do that in AOS validate read method. But frankly speaking, 90% of the times we will not use anything in AOS validate methods, because if it goes to AOS validate insert, after that the data will go to the SQL and then the record will get inserted. The record will get inserted. Okay. And then there is one more option called modification. Let's say you are modifying the data in the table. there is a method called modified field and modified field value. These are the methods which will get called when you are performing a modification in the data. Okay, so these are the methods here which we will use very regularly. And similarly, if you want to clear table buffer, we have a method called clear. This method we will use to clear the table buffer. So all these are called system defined methods. Okay, and I will not say only these methods. These are the methods that we will be using for tables. Okay, build got completed. Now why I wrote this is there is one specific reason. Now I want to go to aim address, right click, override. Okay, can you see these methods? Can you see these methods? I have not extended with the common. Okay, now I want you people to try one more thing. Here I removed extends common. Now I want you to assign this AMA address to common and then check what will happen. Okay, there will be no difference. You will find it. Okay, I want you to assign that and I want you to check, because I want you to check whether this can be assigned to common if we are not extending the common. Okay, I want you to try that, because people asked me about the abstract classes and interfaces. This is similar here. Common is similar like abstract class, I can say, because here in AX we have a concept called table as a class. You can see this is a table, but here you can see public class AMA address. This is what we call table as a class concept, and I am using extends common. Okay, this is an abstract class because this has the regular methods. Okay, and one more thing, sometimes people used to ask me, you're calling this as an abstract class, but how can you say this as an abstract class? Okay, if you go and see in the kernel code you can understand that. Okay, at one point of time I saw that, but even you might call this as a regular class in this point. Why? Because there are no pure virtual functions. Okay, because abstract class will have pure virtual function, or it can also have the regular methods, but for common you don't have any pure virtual functions. Okay, please remember this. Now let me override. Now I told you AWS validate delete. When this AWS validate delete will get called, when you are deleting the record, then AWS validate delete will get called. AWS validate insert, when you are inserting a record, AWS validate insert will get called. Override AWS validate read, when you are opening the table and data is getting read, then AWS validate read will get called. When you are updating the data at the final validation, AWS validate update will get called. And similarly, you have clear. This is for clearing the table buffer. I don't want to use it now. Can submit to workflow. This is used for submitting to the workflow. We will see that later in employee expense. Okay. Delete. If you are deleting the data, this will get called. And you can see delete entity data source. This belongs to the data entities. Okay, if you want to delete the entity data source, then we will use delete entity data source. Do delete for deleting the data. And similarly we have do insert, and similarly we have do update, and similarly we have do update. For default values we have the init value where you can have some default value, and then insert if you want to modify something while inserting the record, and then what else, get SQL statement to get the SQL statement. And along with this you will also see some properties. Okay, rename primary key and modified field when you modify the field. And similarly we have modified field value if you modify the field value. And similarly we have map entity to data source. See here, when we will use this map entity, there will be two methods here: map data source to entity and entity to data source. These two methods we will use when we are working with data entities. So what is the purpose of them? See here, let's say we have the Excel sheet, and inside the Excel sheet we are getting the data in the form of first name, last name, middle name. Whereas in Dynamics AX you want to concatenate all the three, and then you want to take the name field. Then you will use this. And similarly there is one more requirement. In the Excel you are getting a name in the form of name itself, and you have first name, last name, middle name, all the three in the name field. Whereas you want to split the three, you want to split the substring, and then you want to get it into the database, then also you will use these methods. Okay, that is the purpose of map data source to entity and entity to data source. And similarly, post load, reread, 1 second, update. And if it is an entity, you can use update entity data source if you want to update the data source. Okay, validate delete, and then validate field, and then validate field value, and then validate right. So these are the methods that we have at the table level. Okay, these are the methods that we have at the table level. Now I will add a breakpoint and I want to insert the data and check when these are getting called. Okay, I will add breakpoints in all the methods.
Kumar, sorry, do insert is not taken.
Oh, really? 1 second. No, it's taken.
Oh,
1 second. Let me add the breakpoints. Okay. Now the second thing that you need to do is right click your solution and check out for it. Okay. Check out. Okay. And then you have a debug option. Go to attach process. Okay. This is the second way of debugging the data. Okay. Because up to now we have used F5 and then we have ran. Now remember, in case of Azure hosted environments, you have a process called IIS Express, whereas in the VM, you will have W3WP. Okay, you need to click on the attach button. It will attach the process and all the symbols will get loaded. If all the symbols will get loaded correctly, then only you would be able to debug. Okay, you are seeing this one now. This will become dark red. If that becomes dark red, then only you would be able to debug the code. Otherwise, you can't debug. Let's wait for a minute. And again, few of the times what used to happen is I used to open the table browser, then I used to get it red. Okay, and that is the least case here because you can see I'm not getting any information on loading the symbols. Now let me open the table. Oh, I need to do a rebuild. Just a second. Let me do a rebuild and then let me do that. 1 second. Let it build. While it is building, we will see the second type of methods called application defined methods. See here, what are application defined methods? Now, there will be few methods which are defined as part of the application and as part of the best practices. Those methods are called application defined methods. And namely, there are four different application methods. Okay, application defined methods. First one is called find. Second one is called exist. Third one is called check exist. And fourth one is called text not exist. Okay. I don't think you and whoever know AX 2012, you might not have heard of these two methods because those two methods we will not use. Okay. So what it will do is check exist. It will return true directly. It will return true direct. It will return true directly when the supplied key exists. Okay. When the key exists. Okay. Now here only one thing is that we are using the check to say that to print something in the info log. Okay, to place the text in the info log. That's it. Exist and check exist both are same. The exist will check for the existence of record for the provided key, and then it will return true if the key exists. Otherwise, it will return false, and it will return only one record. Okay, the select will return only one record, whereas the check exist, it will go to the info log and then it will print the information. Okay, and this the text not exist is a data type. Okay, and instead of returning the true, we will use text not exist data type to say that record is not found. Okay, this is about text not exist and check exist. These two, frankly speaking, you will never use. You will never use. Only two methods that we will use is we will use only exist and find. find is used to find the record. If you want to update the record, you need to find the record. To find that record, you will use find method. We will create a application defined method called find, and then we will use it. Similarly, to check the existence of the record, we will use a method called exist. Please remember, we will use a method called exist. Okay, build got completed successfully. Now let me click on the debug. Let me click on the attach process, and let me go to W3WP attach. Okay, it is trying to load the simples. Let it load. Let me try to this one and IAM address. Open table browser. Okay. We will see here. We will just when opening the table now. Okay, good. We got some exception. What did it say? Access violation reading. Okay, click on continue. Okay, let it open the table. Let's wait for a minute. Don't worry if that breakpoint does not hit now. There is one more thing that we need to do. I want to show you all those things. Okay. There are multiple ways of getting the breakpoint hit because I don't know what is the exact reason. This happens only with this particular VM, the local VM. Whereas in the Azure VM, I never found this issue. When you use attach to process, if you attach the IAS Express process, automatically the breakpoint will get hit. Okay, but only one thing you need to do is you need to check out your code. And whereas coming to the local VM, I don't know what is the exact reason, but it will not hit the breakpoint most of the times. If we are luckier, it will hit immediately. Otherwise, there are few more things that we need to do. I'm just checking whether, okay, I have net. Because sometimes this will also create a problem. Just wait, let's wait for a second. If you see here, it has opened and none of the method got called because it says the breakpoint cannot be hit. Okay, now let me stop this and then let me go to debug and then let me go to options. Here, if you go to Dynamics 365 debugging, you will have load symbols only for items in the solution. This is unchecked and this is good. Select OK button. And now let me take one job or let me run something directly from here because I hope already we have one job. Oh, I should have removed sync. Okay, let it be no worries. I'm running it directly. Let's see. Because only when these are in dark red color now, then only they will get hit. And I want all the symbols to be loaded. And remember that attached to process, when I attach to process these breakpoints, this will happen only in the local VM. Whereas in the Azure VM, it will not happen because this is not first time for me. All the time, we used to face a lot of issues when we are working with these table methods mainly because I will attach the process and I want to show, but unfortunately, what it will do is it will simply take a lot of time only to get the breakpoints. If anyone of you has have the Azure VM, now you can try. It will hit immediately. In Azure VM, you need to attach IIS express.exe process. Okay. Let's wait for a minute. It's loading. Now you can see the difference. Oh no. Now still it is saying this one. 1 second. Let us wait. And we used to change a whole lot of settings. Even this Internet Explorer as well, we used to set the default browser and we used to check. But even then, it will be same. Let me show you. Settings, default tabs. Here it is, default tabs. And this is Internet Explorer. Okay. And let me save this. Done. Let it run. Now can you see this? Hope the symbols got loaded automatically. I did not do anything here. In front of you, I pressed F5. Okay. So only this is one issue that I found in the local VM. You might also face similar kind of issue. Okay. You might also face similar kind of issue. When I run the job, it will load all the symbols automatically. Whereas I don't know why if I'm running the attaching the process and trying to run it, it is not loading. I don't know the exact reason. Okay. If I go to this one again, and if I do a refresh, now let's see whether it hits the breakpoint or not. You got it. Did you see this? Okay. It came to AOS validate read. So what it has done? It has fetched the record, the first record 56371444577, and then it is reading the records. Now I am pressing run. Done. Now it will load the data. Okay. In case of AX 2012, it used to call AOS read and each and every time. For each record, it used to call. But in case of Dynamics 365, it will get called only once. Okay, this is about creation. Now the second step, I want to create a new record. Where did it go? Init value. Okay. Now let me write here. I will say calling sequence, and I will say the first option is open table. It will call AOS validate read method. The second option is create a new record. Okay, I'm creating a new record. Now when creating a new record, the first method is init value. So what we will do in the init value, set default values of field. If you want to set the default value of field, you can do that in init value method. Okay. Now let me run back again. It came back. City, I will say Hyderabad. Oh, what did it do? I told you I have created a field called Hyderabad and it went to validate field. So what we can do in validate field, from init value, it will go to validate field, and in validate field what you can do, you can write the validations at field level. Validations at field level. Let's say you want to have only set of cities. You want to have only set of cities. If he is trying to enter some other value, you don't want to allow him. Then what you can do? You can write that validation in validate field method. Okay, now let me again come back. Let me press F5. From validate field, it went into validate field value. Now, if you see, there is only one difference. Here, there is no array index. Here, you have array index. Okay. Validate field value. So now, what is the difference? Validations at field level, using EDT array. Okay. If you have the EDT array, and if you want to perform the validation across the EDT field array, then you will use validate field value. Then you will write validation in validate field value method. Whereas if it is a simple field and if you want to write the validation, you will write in validate field method. Now let me run it back again. It went into modified field, modified field. So what you will do, let's say if city is Hyderabad, you want to get the pin code automatically. If city is Hyderabad, you want to set pin code to 500008 to default, and later on if he wants to change, he can change. Then you will use modified field method. And similarly, if you have an array, EDT array, then we will use modified field value. So then where did it go? It went into modified field value. Now I will remove breakpoints for this validate field value and all this, because otherwise for each and every field they will get caught. Okay, and then it will go to modified field value. Done. Okay, now I am adding the country. I will say Andy, and district I will say Hyderabad, state Telangana, street let me say AS Ravnagar, zip code I'll say 500087, and then save. Okay, now what I have done, I have saved the record. Okay, now what I will do is I will add one more, saving the record. Okay, and here I will add this, and here I will say, not here, modifying the record. Okay, then what it will do, it will call validate field value, modified field value, and then we are saving the record. When you are saving the record, what it will do, it called validate write. Okay, whereas if you use the code to insert, it will not get called, please remember. And then it went to insert. Where did it go? Validate write, and then it went into insert, and then it went into AOS validate insert, and then the record got inserted. This is how it works. This is how the creation and modifying of the record will work. Now let's say I am trying to delete. Where did it go? Validate delete. Okay, now you can see here what I have done, deleting the record. Where did it go? Validate delete. Okay, because if you want to, sometimes you will not have the relations and you want to verify whether you want to delete in child table or not. Okay, and then you will plan whether to delete or not. Those validations we will write in validate delete and then run. It is asking, are you sure you want to delete all market records? Yes. Where did it go? Delete. From validate delete, it will go to delete, and from delete it will go to AOS validate delete. And then in AOS validate delete, it will call the SQL and it will delete the record. Done. Okay. And then AOS validate delete, and it will delete. Now let's say you want to write validation for deletion. You need to write in validate delete method. You want to delete records in another table. If the record gets deleted in this table, then you need to write that piece of code in delete method. Then you need to write that piece of code in delete method. Okay, and the next step would be updating the record. So if you are updating the record, let's see what are the methods that will get called. I'm using them. I'm using all these methods because this will get called when you update the record as well. For inserting and updating, it will call these methods for the show. Okay, and then if you want to see, I can add breakpoints one more time. Whereas coming to the do insert and do update, we will call them explicitly to override, insert, and update methods. Okay. Now let me go to front end, and here I have New Delhi. I want to change it to Delhi and tap. Where did it go? Validate field value, modified field value, and then it got updated. Okay, updated? Not yet. You need to save. Once you save it, it will go to validate right, and then it will go to update, and then it will go to AOS validate update. Done. Okay, this is how the methods will work. This is how the system defined methods will work. And if you want to write any piece of code in the system defined methods, as I told you, you can write them here. That's not a big deal. You can write them. For example, and please remember, don't write anything in the AOS validate methods. Okay, keep them as is unless and until you want to have that validation at any cost, because you can bypass this few of the methods, and AOS validate methods cannot be bypassed. Okay, so if you want your validation to be executed at any cost, then only you need to work with AOS validate methods. Okay, now what I will do is I will remove all the breakpoints, do update, init value, insert, init value. In the init value, what I will do is I will say this dot, let's wait for a second. What is the field name? Country equal to I and D. What I'm saying? Set the default value of country to India and modified field. And here what I will do is I will say if field, one second, just a second, it's loading. Okay, it has loaded. Underscore field ID equal to field name. Inside the bracket, you can say AMA address, comma, city. Okay, if this is my field name, and if you want to use, you can use switch, because few of the times people used to ask me, I want to use field name. Okay, I want to have multiple fields, or if you want to use city as the field name, then you can use switch, and then you can write case here. You can say case if I don't write this, what will happen is it will always go to case. I don't want that to happen. So what I want to do is, if someone is trying to update the city, then only go inside the switch. Okay, and I will say Hyderabad. If city is Hyderabad, then I will say this dot zip code equal to 50082. I am directly setting it up. Okay, and you can say break, and you can use case Bangalore. You can use this dot zip code equal to 4002223. Okay, and similarly, because I'm setting this, but remember zip code is a unique index. So if I set this now, that would be a problem because each and every time you use Hyderabad, it will set zip code to 50082. Okay. So what I will do is instead of this, I will set some other value. We have street, na? I will set some default street. That would be good. Okay. This is the good idea, I can say. And then I will say break. Street equal to, if it is city, I will say Amirpet as the street. And if it is Bangalore, I will say HSR road. These are the default values. If the user wants to change, he can change it. Okay. If the user wants to change, he can change it. But it says there is some error. Yeah. Let me check. Just a second. Oh, can anyone tell me why I'm getting this error? This is the reason. Here, this will return integer, but I am trying to compare string. This is what I need to write. Okay. So this is how we will work with modified field method. This is how we will work with modified field method. Similarly, field value means this is for array index. You can try it out. And I want to allow only Hyderabad and Bangalore. So what I will do is here in this, I will take the same. I will take the same. Okay, I want to allow only two cities, Hyderabad and Bangalore. So I will take the same thing here. If this is the field, then if this dot city is not equal to Hyderabad and or sorry or this dot city is not equal to second one is Bangalore, you can say return equal to, remember you need to use check failed. This will throw the warning. Okay, you can say city should be either Hyderabad or Bangalore. Okay, this is how we will work with validate field methods. This will return false. Okay, if it is not equal to Hyderabad or not equal to Bangalore. Okay, either it should be Hyderabad or Bangalore, then only it will pass. Otherwise it will fail. Okay, now done. This is how we will write the conditions. Okay, but this is field ID to check. Let me change it. Field ID to check. Save. Done. Okay, now let me do a rebuild. Okay, once the rebuild is finished, we will run and we will see how this is working.
Kumar.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I will ask a doubt. So you mentioned that validate field value means which where we are having the indexes that will be get called in case of EDTs or array kind of thing, correct?
No, no. It will
Yeah.
also get called all the time. Okay.
Okay.
But what I am saying is it is not necessary to override all this method. Okay. Let's say you have only a simple field, then you can use validate field. You can override validate field and you can write the validation whatever you need. Let's say
Yes.
you have a EDT array. That means you have a single field, but in database these are multiple fields. It will act like multiple fields. You want to add
Mhm.
validation on that one. Then you need to override validate field value. Okay. This way,
But
this, yeah.
but in case if you put this breakpoint, that will also get hit by default. This is
Yeah, by default it will get hit. Okay,
what.
that's why I wrote the sequence here. If you see the sequence now, you will get it.
Mhm. Okay. And I need to understand the difference between do insert and insert.
Do insert and insert you will understand very soon. Okay, I will insert from the code and then I will show you, then you will get the point how it is working.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
next. The build got completed successfully. Let me run this to get the breakpoints. Let's wait for a minute here. Once the run is finished, we will reload the table. Just a second here. I am waiting for this one to finish. Don't care of this error. Okay, now I think we can run this. That's not a big deal. Now we have the table back again. We need to refresh this. Let me do a refresh. What is the role of sandbox server in on-premise environment? Is it necessary to go through a sandbox to deploy a solution to production server? Yes, yeah. You need to test now. You need to test, then only you can go to production. Without testing, you can't go to the production. So you need a sandbox. One second, let me check where it is. Okay. Oh. Seems like it has opened the table. Let me select the new button and wait. Okay. Now by default, you can see country I got as India. Okay. Now let me set this to Hyderabad as the city. It has hit the breakpoint. Good. 1 second. Okay. Now it is trying to do the validation. Let's see. Let me press F10. Okay. Successful. Oh, what is this here? I wrote OR condition. That should be end. Okay. Here I wrote OR. That should be end. Okay. Now currently I am not running this. I will say set next statement here, and then it will run. So now what it will do? Oh, even then it throws the error. Very bad. Current value is Hyderabad. Okay, it is not allowing. Good. Okay. Now the problem is here it should be end. I set it to OR, which is why I did not get it. 1 second. Let me change it. Okay. This should be end, not OR. Got it? Done. Now actually you can work with this. Now what will happen? Not equal to Hyderabad and not equal to Bangalore, then it will throw the error. Okay. So remember, this is how we are going to work with the system defined methods and validations. Okay. And what we will do is we will try to update few things from code and then we will see how it will work. Okay. So please remember here, if you want to write for multiple fields, you need to use switch and case, and then in the switch you need to write field ID check, and in the case you need to write field name of each field, and then you need to write the validations. Okay, please remember this. This is very, very important. Okay, which is why I took one whole session only for these methods and I explained you how to write them. Okay, and tomorrow as well we will discuss the same thing, and along with that we will see find and exist methods. Okay, now it's your time. Please let me know if you have any queries. I think already we are out of time.
Hi, Kumar.
Yeah, go ahead.
About this sandbox server.
Yeah,
So
yes.
first, the development from the VM, we need to deploy it to sandbox. Then from there to the production server, or from VM only we can directly deploy to the production server.
See here, if you want to go for the deployment, there are multiple things that you need to consider. Okay. First of all, you will have a dev machine. Okay. From dev machine, you will have a test machine. From test, because coming to this test now, you will have different test boxes. You will have the DIT, which is developer used for developer testing. You will have the UAT, which you will use for user acceptance testing. Okay. And here you will push it to sandbox. Here the end users will test, and from here you will move it to prod. And again, if you ask me, this is the sequence for everyone. It depends on number of parameters, because sometimes the customer will say I can't pay more. So what we will do is we will create one test machine, and we will call that only as sandbox, and then we will move to prod. Okay, because how many machines that should be created? That should be minimum 3. One is dev, one is test, one is prod. These 3 machines are mandatory. And again, that depends on customer to customer and how much they are paying, and how much amount of testing that they need. Okay, it will depend on a lot of parameters, but these are the 3 machines that you need to create. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no queries, I will end session for everyone. Thanks all for the session. Let's meet again tomorrow same time. Thank you all. Bye.